stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Welcome back, PCPers. It is Astrology with PCP and Bravo Bitch Fest.
Yay! My favorite time of the week.
Yep. I hope everybody enjoyed our last episode. That was Alexis and John's relationship. If you didn't hear that episode, if you missed it, go back and listen to it. In fact, actually, even better, go back and watch it on YouTube, because then you can see everything. So make sure you're subscribed to Pretty Corrupt Podcast on YouTube, and that way you can see these episodes when they come out, because they are bonus episodes. They're not coming out every week, but that way hit that little notification bell so you make sure that you get them. Otherwise, maybe you would listen to them in your car, or on your jog, or while you should be working, or you're cleaning your home. That's fine. But yeah, But I've got Dahlia Bradshaw here. Yay! Hopefully you recognize her without her Bethenny filter on.
I know, that's what I said in the last episode, that I wanted us to be able to do this whole thing. Ideally, I would have my Bethenny filter on for this entire thing.
I know. I'm just like, it's taken me a while to get used to knowing you.
I know. People tell me that, like, when I post a video, like on TikTok with just my opinion, they're like, I thought that was your real face. Like, this is not you. They have a hard time putting the voice to the face, Like, okay. And like I said, that's my truest form. Like I am supposed to have the big mouth filter and the high squeaky voice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, you are. But I enjoy this. I enjoy this avatar too.
Thank you. Second choice, but it's fine.
It's my first choice. So there we go.
Love her, girl.
All right. So, so speaking of avatars, here we are. Guess who we're doing this week, audience. Guess who?
My favorite.
The housewife that has made Dahlia famous.
Literally the inspiration behind my original avatar. Bethenny Frankel. Bethenny Frankel. And obviously, when we were discussing who we were going to be covering, I feel like for both of us, we were both like, obviously we're doing Bethenny, right?
Yeah.
There was going to be no chance that we didn't cover her.
No, not at all. No. It's like, we have to do, and I was like, Bethenny has to be one of the first ones. Like,
yes.
Yeah. We know why Alexis and John had to be like the first one.
We had to get it out of the way. That was our first pancake, if you will.
Yes, it was.
We didn't want our practice run to be on Bethenny.
No.
She deserves more.
Yes. She deserves second pancake.
Second pancake. We could scrap the first one. And I like that we did the couple, we had talked about doing couples and their synastry, and then the individual ones as well. So we get a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time for her solo. She's a solo artist now. Not an ensemble cast.
She's very much a solo artist. Yes. Let's get into
dive in.
Yes. How much of a solo artist this woman is.
Can I tell you, because I told you I've got this whole lineup of questions, and I had just looked through them, and this may be the perfect moment, because before we even start, I was surprised when you sent me her chart and I was looking at it. No Leo energy. She has 0 Leo placements. Did I look at that right?
No, she has her south node in Leo.
Okay.
Yeah, she has her south node in Leo, which makes sense, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, like, bring that up a little bit later, or I have a note for it, so don't worry, we're gonna get into that.
Okay, perfect.
For sure. Well, let's start off real quick, just kind of like we did, in case you missed the first one. I do not have a birth time for me. We don't have a birth time for her, so therefore we cannot tell her rising or ascendant sign. It's the same word. Rising / ascendant, you use those interchangeably. And the rising sign is what determines your house placement. So as you can see on the inside of here, we've got numbers 1, 2, 3, and around here. And these are the houses. So if she was an Aries rising, then this would be her first house right here. Fabulous, awesome, amazing, incredible. And the first house is you. It is about you, how you present yourself to the world, what the things that are important to you, how you're viewed, your body, kind of like, and your ascendant is kind of like the avatar. Speaking of avatars, it's kind of the avatar of your life.
Right.
Now, so I'm not going to talk about her, and the houses are where the planets play. So like the planet, like if we're talking about her second house, which is the house of money, self-worth, that's how does Saturn play when it comes to her money? How does Saturn play when it comes to her self-worth? How does Saturn play when it comes to her Saturn? The second house rules the face, things like that. But we do not know what her birth time is. So I am just going off of the astrological new year, which starts at the spring equinox, which is the beginning of Aries. So I'm just doing a simple chart off of that. So,
Okay.
So unfortunately, we can't get deeper onto some certain things.
Yeah.
But she is a Scorpio sun, and she is a Capricorn moon. She obviously has a lot weighted in Scorpio. This is what we would call a stellium.
That's a crazy amount of Scorpio placements.
Like she is Scorpio beyond Scorpio. Like
literally.
The almost like the more Scorpio she could get is if she was also an ascendant Scorpio and a moon Scorpio. Like
right.
Very, 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 very Scorpio. And we're gonna get into that. In fact, there's some similarities between her and John Jansen.
When I was looking at them earlier, I noticed that too, because a lot of the questions that I had for Bethenny, I was like, these are applicable to him. And the what's her name? Oh my God, Alexis had a Capricorn moon.
Yep.
Is she just a mashup of, is Bethenny, John, and Alexis's baby? Their birth chart baby? That's a terrifying thought.
Actually, maybe John should be dating Bethenny instead of Alexis.
Can you imagine?
They would eat themselves. They would eat each other for dinner. Like,
they would just explode. Literally just combust.
Actually, I see it like the vision in my head was like two aliens from Alien eating each other.
Just consuming each other. Oh my God, that is a terrifying thought.
Oh man.
When you say it like that, Alexis and John seem like the dream couple. Honestly.
I know, actually, yeah.
When you think about the alternative. Jesus.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. But we kind of were talking offline about this, in that the way I don't usually like to guess on people's actually when somebody's like, what do you think my sign is? I'm like, I don't know, because somebody can, like, your rising sign determines a lot of stuff. Like people go by their sun signs. Sun signs are like, what sun sign is like your career, your purpose in life. It is also kind of like your soul. Like this is who you, like your rising sign is kind of who you are and how you present on the outside. It's like our meat suit. But your soul is like your sun. It is your, I mean, your sun is your soul.
Right.
It's kind of like your reason for being. It is your career. It's your life purpose. It's the direction that you're going in life. And our moon is our emotions. It is also our physical body as well, but it's like kind of like how we like hold our body. It's like how your emotions, how the world is affecting your body, how things affect your body. So I just want us to kind of keep that in idea, but also how, like, how our emotions affect our body, and how, like, look, everything's connected. We're going a little bit deeper on some stuff in this one, because a relationship chart, we're talking about the couple, how they interact as a couple. This is a natal chart, and we're talking about how somebody is as a person. So we can go in a little bit deeper about that. And I want everybody to remember that, like, we're not just our meat suit, you know, we're not just our brain. We're not just, we are all these things connected. We are all one. Like we're not just our soul. We are all these things. There's a reason that we came into being on this planet Earth at this time. There's a reason that we're not a cat. There's a reason we're not a ladybug. There's a reason we're not a redwood tree. There's a reason that we're a human being with this soul, like this right here, right now. And so we have to make sure, like, this entire chart is an imprint of the moment of our birth, and not just of our body, but of our soul's purpose and of our body's purpose and of our life purpose. So, and how we move through our life is how we move through this chart. Things can be applicable to Bethenny when she was younger that she's grown out of. There could be things that are applicable now that she will grow out of, and there could be things that she will be growing into later in life. We grow through our chart. Some things will stay with us our entire lives. Some things won't. There are transits that move through our lives that turn things on and then turn things off, and sometimes they turn things on and they stay on for the rest of our lives. So it's going to be different for everybody, and this is why even though people can be born on the same day and near each other, you may have a different rising sign, like because of based on geography. That's why you need to know your time and your actual place, because that can change your ascendant where it is.
Like me and Lala.
Yes, you and Lala are born on the same day,
identical
exact
charts,
day. Yeah, but she's a Scorpio rising, and you're
a Cancer rising.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're both Virgos.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, so these things change. They change them. She's also born at a more northern latitude than you are too. So that changes it a little bit as well. So like also like somebody, you also could like be born literally at the same time of day, and you still would have different ascendants because you were born in different states. You're still born 2,000 miles away from each other.
Right.
So so yeah, so these are all like important things. So we're going to get into Bethenny, but I will say this. I have a feeling that she is either that I have a feeling that she's either a Scorpio rising or she's an Aquarius rising, which would put Scorpio in her 10th house of career.
Okay.
Because being seen is very, very important to her. Like, and she identifies with her career and with being seen and being in the public eye so much.
Well, and that's one of my notes that I had, I don't mean to cut you off, was about Scorpio, because Scorpios are supposed to be secretive. That's literally my note said, 5 major Scorpio placements. Aren't Scorpios supposed to be secretive? Why won't she ever shut the fuck up?
Yep.
Would that explain it if it was her 10th house? Is that what?
I think it would. I think it would explain it a lot. If it's her 10th or her first house, because also she likes to talk about herself. Because, okay, let's go through all the planets that are here in Scorpio for her. So,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. So we have her sun here. So her sun, it's her sun sign. Like I said, it's like her reason, her raison d'etre, it's her career, it's her life path is to be this Scorpio type of person. Now, like also like Scorpio is this time of year. It's right after Libra. It's right after the fall equinox. We're getting less and less sunlight. So again, this is kind of why another reason why Scorpios are seen as like secretive is because like, if you think about it, like it's getting darker and darker and darker. Like we're getting more darker. Like this is why they
and
just
more
don't
into winter.
Yep, exactly. Like this is autumn. We're getting closer to like the darken. We're getting closer to winter. Like here we go. We're driving. We're going down there. Kind of call it like Libras actually called it like the gate of Hades. Like that's just where it's where the light turns and it starts to get darker. So this is where we are right now. So, but she has her sun there, and it literally is conjunct Jupiter, which is the granddaddy of all of the planets in our solar system. It is the granddaddy of all the gods. It is Zeus. It is the largest one besides the sun, and it attracts so much to it. It thinks it's the most important. Like Zeus, like you couldn't get nobody could challenge Zeus. They tried and they couldn't. They tried and they failed. Nobody could. Like, so
sounds familiar.
Yeah. So there can be a lot of self-importance wrapped up in people who have Jupiter conjunct the sun. They can also do a lot of good. There's always light and dark with any of these aspects that I talk about. There's always, so somebody could be like, don't talk about her. Like, no, she does good things too. Like she brings,
objectively. Yeah,
she brings a lot of like, you know, sometimes a lot of celebrity focus to problems, to charities out there that need it. does she actually do the stuff that she's talking about? Not necessarily that we found, but we found that out later on.
Right.
But she did bring a lot of, like, she shined a light on a lot of this stuff, and Jupiter
Right.
can do that. So, but this is where I go, I think there's a lot of like grandioseness and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Also, like, sometimes there can be issues with, like, now she's a skinny person. Sometimes, like, Jupiter tends to like blow things up, like make things bigger at times. Like sometimes when Jupiter's transiting your first house, sometimes you can gain weight. Or if you are born with Jupiter in your first house, sometimes you can have like weight fluctuation issues and stuff like that. It's not across the board. This is a gross generalization, but like when Jupiter was just in my first house the other year, like I gained some weight. I gained a few extra pounds. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like horrible or anything like that. But then when Saturn entered my first house, which is known to like make you lose weight, I got COVID really bad and I lost 10 pounds. Like, but I was really sick though. Like I wasn't mad at it, but I wasn't really happy at it either. Like, I was like, oh. But what she also has is Mercury conjunct all of this too, because this is 16 degrees of Mercury, 15 degrees of Jupiter. The bitch likes to talk. I don't think I'm saying anything that people don't know.
Literally.
Truly. Like
for minutes on end on TikToks and like multiple times a day. That's the ongoing joke that I have when people will tag me. It's like, y'all know I work a full-time job. I don't have, not only do I not have the mental capacity or wherewithal to listen to her rant about because there's no common thread half the time. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. And I'm like, I don't know how she's finding the time, but she does nothing but post videos on TikTok.
Right. Well, she has so much money. So now she has time.
Right.
Now she has time. Like also like, but the volume of it, the sheer volume comes from this Jupiter. And that's what I'll say now too. Like now at this time of her life, she has the time to do it. Like, cause she has
good for her.
Yeah. Congratulations. Fabulous.
Love that for you.
Yes. Yes. It's so this is an essence of her being, but like I'm sure like people would say like I'm sure if we talked to one of her old producers on Roni, like they would be like, oh, she talked so much in her interviews and stuff like that. If we talk to anybody, you know, now she also has Venus here again, debilitated in Scorpio. Like we talked about with John Jansen, it does not like to be here. It is a cross from its home in Taurus and it has left its home in Venus. And so it does not like being here. And it is also retrograde. So I will say this, because it is also so close to Mercury, it is really hard for her to speak in a loving way. Now, she doesn't necessarily see it that way.
Sure.
Like she doesn't, because look, if we had Mars right there, I would say this is a woman with like a scorpion tongue, because I think, and this is one of the things I think a lot of us liked Bethenny for early on, is that she would speak the truth. She was like, but she would say it in a funny way, but you knew it was a little harsh, but it also was like true. But she thinks she's being kind in telling you this.
Right. But and also a lot of the women that she was telling, you know, saying these kind of harsh things to were terrible people. Like when she's mean to Ramona, we're like, I mean, it's harsh, but you know, I mean, it's fucking Ramona. Like sometimes people need to hear harsh stuff. But on the other hand, when I'm thinking back, because I started rewatching it recently, whatever her show with Jason, Bethenny Getting Married or Bethenny Having a Baby, there was two of them. But when she would talk to him, you could see it. And she was in therapy. Like I felt like she could have communicated better with him. But he was, and not to side with the man because I would never, but he was relatively patient on the on-camera interactions that we saw, just that tiny little sliver of interactions that we saw. He kind of would try to like coach her on how to talk to her. It's like, well, you know, the announcement getting out, and he's like, hey, Bethenny, I have to tell my family now. Like they found out through media. This is what we didn't want. Like we were both agreed on this, you know, and now I got to go tell my family. And her perspective was like, you married me, this, what did you think was going to happen? I'm in the public eye. What do you want? Like, and it's just like, they couldn't get there,
That's spot on. That's a perfect example
Mm.
of like this dynamic right
Right.
here. Like, and even though it's 9 degrees away, this Neptune here, it still
Mhm.
colors the entire sign because Neptune moves so slowly through
Right.
a sign. It takes on average like 15 years to move through a sign. So it just kind of depends. So, and Neptune, it's great because it's like romantic and it's kind of visionary and it's like watery and it's very creative, but also
Dreamy.
it is very dreamy. Like
Yeah.
like, I mean, I have it connect my son and like I can have some pretty crazy dreams
Right.
but I also can be very delusional and like to live in my own la la land and
That's the
things
back
like
end of
that.
it that they don't tell you about. That's how
Yeah.
they get you.
Yeah, there's like some harsh realities that I have to come up
Mhm.
against at times. And that's the thing is that there's a lot of rose-colored glasses that come along with Neptune and not seeing yourself clearly. And
Mm.
so I think at times she doesn't see these situations clearly that she is in. It's a little bit far enough away from her son where I think it's not it's kind of about her, but it's more about the orbit around her. Do you know what I mean? Like for
Yeah.
me, it's like more about on me in that I can't always see myself super clearly, or I either have a overly romantic view of myself or a
Mhm.
very like a very harsh view of myself. Do you know what I mean? Or it pulls it back too harsh. But
Yes.
for her, it's more the orbit around of her, like that kind of encompasses her, like her direct one, because it kind of is flavoring the whole sign there for her.
So like
So
her businesses and stuff, or like relationships, or all the above?
I would say all the above. Like I would say like her family members, her
Mhm.
friends, and I mean like immediate friends and like immediate employees and in the
Right.
situation she's like her house, even like those, like her car, like she might think that her car is the best car in the world. And then she finds out actually I kind of bought like not a great Maserati. Like, do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like Range Rovers aren't that good of a car. Like they're really expensive, but
Right.
they're not that good of a car, to be honest. They're really
Right.
expensive to maintain, like even worse than like a BMW or a Mercedes. Do you know? Like that's what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I thought I would get this, and I thought I would get this money, and then everything would be perfect. And I can see that, especially with it being so close to her Venus. And Venus also rules money.
Mhm.
It rules beauty, it rules love, but it also can rule money and how we see our money. And I think she's very attached to the money. She's always
Yeah.
like, it's very love. Not only does love feel hard for her because it's
Mhm.
retrograde, but money feels hard. Like she's always, no matter how rich she is, she's always going to be scared that she's going to lose her money.
Yeah.
And also, I would say this. I'm just going to go out on this limb here with
Mhm.
her of like, um, in this lifetime, because her Venus squares both her North Node and her South Node, which are
Uh-huh.
karmic places in her life. She gets one or the other this lifetime. She either gets love or she gets
Mhm.
money, but she doesn't get both.
That's so funny because wasn't her whole thing like, you can have it all?
Yeah, but she doesn't get it.
Well,
And
she's
when I mean
gone.
love, I mean romantic love. Like,
Right.
actually, you know what? I don't know because we don't. Well, no, I don't want to talk about kids with her because I think that's a step too far. I don't want to do that. So,
Right. Right.
um, but yeah, she either gets love or money in this lifetime. So, like,
Yikes.
and I mean, like, I keep hitting my mic. You either get great love or
Right.
great money. I'm not just talking about like, oh, livable love and
Right.
livable money. Like,
I thought you were gonna say that she loses all of her money in this lifetime.
I mean,
If she does, then she can have a great love.
I would actually say no.
Yeah.
I would actually say no because of with her North Node, she has this little guy. It's called Pholus. It's a little asteroid. And Pholus is a domino effect of
Okay.
of stuff, of like things happening in one's life. And it was when she made her money, that was a domino effect that like changed everything in her life. And the thing
Right.
is though, like she's very like, because she also has Mercury here with Venus. Mercury also rules money too. It's there with this little handbag, and actually we'll talk about this. Is Saturn
Her Chanel
along
bag.
her her Chanel bag full of money. So that's the only way they'll take it.
She's in my brain. I'm sorry. It was like intrusive. I can't tell where she begins and I end.
I can't either. I can't either.
That's enough to give me a panic attack. Okay.
I think like once she got the money, like also like let's be clear here though. The money was always there for her.
Right.
The money was always there for her. I'm not saying like she didn't struggle at all.
Right.
She had struggles financially, but the money was always there somehow.
Right.
Like she was never going to be on food stamps.
Right. She was net.
Yeah, she was never like going to really have to worry about like moving out of Manhattan and into like Pittsburgh or, Allegheny County, or like, you know what I mean? She wasn't having to worry about that. It wasn't a struggle.
People on my TikTok say that she's cosplaying being poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she thinks it makes her interesting. So is there any placement that makes her feel the need to be, and I don't know, maybe I'm just picking up on this, but it feels like she feels the need to be relatable. Whereas like for me specifically, one of my favorite types of housewives is a Heather, who is like, it's like campy that she's so unrelatable. You know what I mean? So I feel like she would almost be more like better off if she would just be like, yeah, I'm rich, but she oscillates back and forth between like rich bitch makeup, tutorials, and then her talking about like, I love TJ Maxx. I've got a bargain,
I'm so glad you asked this question.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It is right here. In fact, it is staring. It's like right where my mouse point is, right here. This beautiful Saturn here. As we've talked about, Saturn, Lord of Time, Lord of like structure and like making you hunker down, and also like stability and community, is directly across from this whole Venus, Mercury, Jupiter conjunction. So this is where she thinks of herself as an underdog always. Even when she finally is on the inside.
Right.
I mean, she just always is going to think about herself, because this is the thing too, is that Saturn back in ancient times, before the 18th century, when we finally had telescopes that could finally see Uranus and Neptune, and we didn't even see Pluto until the 20th century. Saturn was the furthest out planet that we see with the naked eye. So that planet was out there, and that was the planet that like was the planet of like outcasts, of the the non-status quo people, because it was like, oh, Saturn is so far out there, it is so cold, it is up there against the firmament of the stars, like so Saturn is also like, while it is kind of like the planet of like structure and community and government, sometimes not necessarily, it is also one of like revolution and of the outcast. So that's why she feels like yes, exactly. So that's why she feels like the underdog a lot, even though she is in the inner circle. She has the money. She knows how to talk to these people. She is grandiose. She has all like, it's this opposite tension of like, like with even that Neptune, of like how she doesn't see herself versus how she really is. Like,
right.
They're right
Well, that
across
was one
from
of my
each other.
questions too, was, is there a strong opposition? And even when we were talking about the Venus, because remember, I'm still kind of a novice at all this. You're the one that's
Uh-huh.
like the expert with a lot of these minuscule things. But the Venus being across from Saturn, to me, even as a beginner, was like, that's kind of a red flag, right? Because it can break. I think of it as like the responsible planet. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
not always what you
Mhm.
want, but it's going to give you what you need, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Bring you back
Like,
down.
also, Venus across from Saturn is hard when it comes to love. That again
Yeah,
kind of plays into the like she gets one or the other maybe in this
right.
lifetime, or like it takes a lot. It's a lot harder for her to find that romantic love that she is looking
Mhm.
for. I don't mean familial love. I mean romantic love.
Because we've
Because
seen her struggle with that.
mhm. Because it's letting go of like who you are as an ideal versus the collective, the
Okay.
we.
Right.
And because there's so much focused in one sign around her sun and
Mhm.
around these are three personal planets, the Venus, Mercury, and the sun. These are three personal planets. The only other personal planets are the moon and Mars. So like the three, it's so weighted towards her, towards
Right.
me, as opposed to the collective and the
Okay,
we.
so let me ask you that too, because I have the North Node, South Node axis in Leo and Aquarius. Is that her North Node that's in Aquarius?
Yes, her North Node is in Aquarius. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what, and this could be overgeneralizing because I don't know a lot about the nodes either, but Aquarius I know is like the collective, right? And the
Mhm,
South Node is Leo. So I didn't know
mhm.
if that means she should be like moving away from, the stardom to like more collective energy.
Oh my God, you're learning so much so quickly. You are
I only
no.
know that one. I only know that one because I had it.
Oh my gosh, no, you're so learning because this is so it's so important because she is. I have it here in my notes that with the South Node in Leo, because Leo's ruled by the sun, and if you know any like
Mhm.
Leos, like Jennifer
If you've met a
Lopez,
Leo,
or you met a Leo, if you've met Jordan or Nate, like on my podcast,
I forget they're Leos.
yep, they're Leos. Surrounded by Leos.
That's
um,
crazy.
Leo's ruled by the sun. I mean, it's the king, everything. Um, it is about the self very much so. So
Mhm.
for her, the South Node here is about a letting go. It's about letting go of the ego, letting go of the
Right.
self, like that. And especially because she has what is called the vertex. And the vertex is it's a mathematical point, but it's a place where it gets triggered by transits. And I would say like bigger type of transits, like more like a Jupiter, a Saturn, or an outer planet transit,
Right.
which she might get a Uranus transit, maybe, but she won't get a Neptune or Pluto transit to it. Um, but there's an inflection point there, like something can
Mhm.
trigger something, but like she needs to let go of the ego and move more into the community. Like,
I could have told you that without reading her fucking chart.
yeah, she needs to,
That's
yeah,
when she's at her most lovable.
it is like when she was part of a ensemble cast.
Yep.
People loved
Yep.
her. People
And when
loved
she
her.
was doing her humanitarian work, which I didn't know that there was rumblings that she was not actually, I didn't know there was anything like
Yeah.
sneaky happening there.
Yep.
But yeah, when it was the whatever, what was the name? Now there's so many. I'm like, just this is a crisis. What was the name of her thing? But when she was doing that, that's when people were like, and I think also that gave her, which this may have been while she was doing it, but it gave her more of like that's how you could defend her. Just like we did literally at the
Mhm.
beginning of this episode. Like she's terrible, but she does do good work for the community. It's like,
Mhm.
like we said with John, his manipulation tactic is victimization. Maybe hers is like being a humanitarian,
Well, yes. 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 I would say so. Yep. Yep.
I hate
Yep.
that I see her so clearly, honestly.
Yep. Well, it's also really hard for like just like John, like Scorpio's a fixed sign.
Mhm.
You've got fixed signs, you have mutable signs, and you have cardinal signs.
Okay.
Cardinal signs are the ones on the axis are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. These are signs that like start something. They're like, they begin things. They're
Right.
action oriented. Fixed signs are in the middle. They are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio and Aquarius, these are more like kind of staid and true and stable, yet at the same time hard and kind of like immovable at times signs. And then you've got your mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And these are ones that kind of can flow with the energy a little bit easier, which sometimes is nice and sometimes not so nice. Sometimes you're like, what are you, a fucking Libra? And they're like, no, I'm a Gemini with a Pisces rising and a Sagittarius moon. It's like, oh, okay, you change around.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
No, that explains it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you can change your energy a lot. Like you can kind of shapeshift like that. So
shapeshift, yeah.
So she's very fixed in a lot of ways, because also like her Saturn is down here in Taurus. And so that kind of like, again, anchors her down. There's a lot of anchoring here, I would say. Right. And Venus rules Taurus, this earth sign here. So it's ruled, it's obviously Venus is in its detriment. So it's not very happy right here. And then, so Saturn here with Juno, the little pom-pom asteroid of marriage and commitment and like business practices, stuff like that, like contracts, like because marriage is a contract. Like, some people, you know, it's harder to get divorced than it is to get married.
Yeah, let's not romanticize it. Let's call a spade, you know? It's a fucking contract, and they're hard to get out of.
They are very hard to get out of. And this is the thing, is that because it's with Saturn that tends to strive for like stability and commitment, she can form very binding contracts, very binding, very lucrative, very money-centric contracts, which can be good.
2-year marriage?
Exactly. That's the shadow side of it.
Yeah.
Her marriage was a very binding, very, very costly contract. But whereas her spirit's deal for Skinny Girl was a very binding but very lucrative contract for her.
Right. The kind of contract you want it to last.
Exactly. So this is the thing, is that she needs to take almost her heart out of these things. They're directly across from both Venus and Mercury. So she needs to lean into that mercurial side a little bit more of that analytical side as opposed to that heart side. I would say that she should never, ever, and I don't think she wants to, but she should never, ever get married again. Never, ever. Right. No. And if she's with somebody long-term, like she should come up with some type of, I don't know, like palimony plan or something like that. But like, so like, you know, but, and you know, very like, I'm sure probably she already has like trusts and stuff set up for Bren and everything, but she like, when she does those and like does them with her brain and not her heart, then it's a lot better for her, for sure. But,
and does that, because Scorpio is a water sign, you know, and I know my son's Scorpio, like emotions are constantly a thing that we have to work with in this house. So is that something that's like conflicting energies too? Is that she needs to be less emotional, or is it just more?
Well, this is the thing, is that, okay, so she has her moon in Capricorn. The moon is debilitated in Capricorn. It does not like being in Capricorn. Again, it's across from Cancer. Cancer is the home of the moon. So it likes being in there, but it does not like being, it's a furthest point away. So it does not like being there. It's a cold place. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, as well. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. They're both ruled by Saturn. So it's like the coldest point. So this is the thing, is that, didn't she have a book called like a place from a place of yes, or a place of yes, or something like that?
I know she's doing it heavy on TikTok, because this is like, she said it's like her year of yes, that she's just, and I also read, someone tagged me in it felt a little too emotional. Like, you really hate Bethenny. This was not an objective like think piece, but they were talking about that, about how it's like not serving her, but she's just like really leaning into it of like, yeah, this is the year of yes. And she was like bragging about going to, it was like a Call Her Daddy event or something, maybe her birthday, Alice Cooper's birthday. And then like the This Is Us movie premiere. And she was just making a lot of videos about that. Like, she was really enjoying showing herself participating in those things. And she did make it a big point of like, this is just like, I'm just saying yes to anything, whatever comes through. I'm just going to dive head first, which doesn't seem smart for her like personality style, right? I feel like
No.
she's the kind of person who needs to like take a beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, because that's the thing is that like the thing is that actually like she's very divorced from her emotions in all honesty. Like this
Mhm.
debilitated moon it's hard for her to like really feel her emotions
Yeah.
fully, to really feel them in her body. See, that's the thing is that a lot of times when we're having a lot of emotional problems. And I'm gonna be again, like I've said before, I don't think I said at the beginning of this, but I said at the beginning of last, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a
Right.
financial advisor. Please, like, don't take this at face value. This is for entertainment purposes. I am just like this is an astrology reading.
Right.
I am not. This is not based on any like. It's a form of divination. So, and these
Right.
are also my opinions too. So,
Right.
but like I think a lot of us have gone through where we are divorced when we've divorced our feelings from our
Mhm.
body or divorced our feelings from ourselves. They show up in our bodies in ways that we get sick, we can't feel them, like we react in certain ways. She is very divorced from her body.
Yeah.
Like she's one of those people where I have not connected my head and my heart. I've not connected these things. I've not connected them. One of the ways is because like, she has a sextile, this like little short flowing,
Right.
but to this her retrograde Venus here.
Okay.
So it's like this is what it's hard for her to also like again a lot of these things almost repeat. It's almost like things
Mm,
that I've already said that show up in one place, they show up in another place. It's hard for her to express her emotions in a soft way. It's hard for
right.
her to be in tune with them physically, for her to like really emotional. So when they finally they come out, they almost come out violently. It's almost like
Yes.
this violent reaction. She has Mars in Libra over
Mhm.
here. Now,
That was one of
Mars,
my notes too that was like, "Is that a bad thing? That feels bad."
well, it kind of is. Mars is debilitated in Libra. She has a lot of debilitated planets.
Uh,
She has a lot of
okay.
planets that are opposite their home sign in places they
Mhm.
do not enjoy being. Mars does not enjoy being in Libra. Mars is the home is at home in Aries, and it is at
Mhm.
home in Scorpio.
Right.
So it's someplace that it doesn't enjoy being. So it's like she almost feels like she has to be hard and she has to push these things out. And I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to show people this. It's a wide square, but it is still a bit of a square to her moon here. So it's
Right.
like I gotta keep pushing this stuff out, and I gotta kind of be this without like really sitting with herself and trusting herself that she knows
Mhm.
what's best. And maybe I just need to feel this and not say it. Maybe I don't need to
Right.
say it so much. Maybe I just need to feel it. Maybe I need to sit with it
Which
and get
also
in my
makes
body.
sense because she lost her mom, and I'm not gonna say anything because I lost my dad, but that's the only reason I bring it up is because I remember thinking like, I lost my dad before she lost her mom. So whenever she did, people were being kind of gross on TikTok about posting videos. And I'm like, I would never, even before losing a parent, I would never. But like, you can't imagine, it doesn't matter if you're close or not. Losing a parent is a profound
Mhm.
experience, right?
Yeah.
But to see her, and again, everyone grieves differently. You know what I mean? I made a TikTok like this the next day after because I'm still like shock vibes. So I'm not necessarily judging it. I'm just observing it as like, it was kind of something that popped up in my head of like, she said that she was going to take a break because she was grieving. And then all of a sudden she was back. And it was like, it seemed unprocessed
Mhm.
is what I'll say. You know what I'm saying? So it
Mhm.
did kind of seem like, and she, I mean, if you've seen her on any of the episodes of anything she's been on, it's like, we got to get back to work. You know what I mean? Like, no time for feelings. We got to get back to work. It's very Capricorn
Mhm.
energy, I feel, of like, yeah, just busy your mind so that you can't actually like feel anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's 100% that. She doesn't wanna
Yeah.
feel it. She can't feel it. If she feels it, like, what will happen? If
What will
she
happen? Which I
there
relate to also.
there can be an addiction to not
Yeah.
feeling things. There can be an addiction to these because also like how like I said, like how does it show up in your body? Like it shows up in your
Mhm.
body with anxiety and it can show up in your body like and then anxiety can show up with not eating and then being thin. We've got a whole like culture of thinness around what she does. And I'm trying to be gentle. As I don't want to like anybody to say that like I'm accusing her of anything, but like it's
Yeah, but
just that
also we can be realistic, and I'll say it, you don't have to. She wrote a book in which she said, chew, what did she say? Chew everything or taste everything, swallow nothing. It was something like that, like
yeah.
chew and spit, and that's eating disorder. Like we can, be sensitive, but also acknowledge that like she was encouraging eating disorders or
Yeah.
disordered eating habits.
I would say I don't think
Intentionally
I'm
not.
going out on a limb saying that she has issues with food.
Right.
And so, and they are like, and they are something that she pretends that she doesn't have.
Right.
She likes to pretend that everybody else has them
Yes.
and that she's got
Another
answers to them.
non-acknowledgement. Yes. Another thing she's not
Mhm.
acknowledging.
Yeah. She has Chiron here in Aries, like directly
Mhm.
across from this debilitated Mars. I really wish I knew what house Aries
I
was in.
know. I know, because I was looking at that Chiron and I was curious.
Yeah, because if that was like her fourth house, like
Mhm.
that would say a lot about her mother. Like that would say like, and even father, because that's like, it's just the place you grow up.
Right.
But like it's very, that's just like a wound there that is sitting there. And I will say this, the Mars with the Uranus, things get cut out of her life very unexpectedly because
Mhm.
Uranus is the planet of unexpected events, unexpected things that happen, but unexpected cannot mean bad. It can mean good too.
Right.
So also like good things could come quickly to her. Like, I don't know, like the whole Jim Beam deal might have come very fast. It seems to have
Right.
come fast to her, but I don't know. Who knows how long it was in the work, but it seems like certain things come very fast to her,
Yeah.
whether they are good or bad. So, like it's a surprise pregnancy, like, oh my God, I'm pregnant all of a sudden. It's like,
Right.
but it's just, I think like an overall thing is like getting like, she's going to be going through her second Saturn return in about 5 years. And it's going to be a big time for her to really like we talked about the last episode. It's a chance for her to like really grow up, to
Mhm.
do this second growing up in a sense of like really maturing into the person that she's going to be literally for the rest of her life. Because you
Right.
don't get your third Saturn return is in your late 80s, early 90s. So you're
Who's
done there.
changing then? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you,
Yeah. So this is a time like that so she's like leading up to that right now.
Interesting.
There could be a big, her point of fortune is at the very end of Pisces. And
Mhm.
actually real quick,
What is the point of fortune again?
point of fortune is, it's a mathematical point, or some people call it the lot of fortune.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm not as like, it's a very ancient timing tool
Right.
people use. I'm not as well versed in it, but it's, there are times in your life where things move and like they can show like when you're going to have like more fortunate times in your life. So,
Okay.
but also sometimes transits to your natal point of fortune or lot of fortune can mean like big shifts in your life at
Okay.
times. Now, it made me think, but so I've put the current transits literally for today at this
Uh-huh.
moment on here. Now we have Neptune like right on top of this right now.
Right.
And we're about to have a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces on the 17th. So next
Okay.
Wednesday, I believe. So she could have something really change for her in whatever area of life Pisces falls in her chart. So if we see something like really change,
Yeah.
and I would say like almost like being something that was once hidden comes to the light
Right.
about her or for her, might happen in the next 6 months for her. Because
Okay.
also Neptune retrograde is like the rose colored glasses, the
Mhm.
fog being lifted, the tide being taken out. And so that's why it could be something revealed
Right.
for her. And it could change a lot in her life, but whether for good or for bad,
Right.
you know.
So maybe if
And
we can sense a theme of that, maybe we can pin down which house we think it's transiting and
yeah,
lock down our first house.
yeah. If something, whatever happens, I would say in the next 6 months, like
Mhm.
that, like, and I'm talking kind of big, like not necessarily
Right.
earth shattering, but I'm talking about
Right.
like like a relatively decent like size event for her.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that would be something to definitely.
Is she officially divorced yet? Did she get divorced?
I don't know.
I know she's a 10-year. I haven't tuned into her podcast to listen.
I can't listen. I usually listen to
I can't
podcasts on
either.
like half and like this, like I can't, I mean, our 2 times and like, or 1.5, and I can't even listen
Yeah.
to that on 1.5. It's like, dude,
No. No. And
like,
people ask me like when her and Raquel came
oh
out and they were
yeah.
talking about me making stuff. I was like, girl, I can barely make it through the TikToks. I cannot, when I said I don't have the mental capacity, I cannot make 2 Bethenny videos in one day. Like it's mentally draining to watch her. Honestly, I think the way that I process it is to kind of make fun of it and show like this is the version of what I saw. But like if I don't have that, and I have to watch it like right before I make it because I can't
Yeah.
watch it ahead of time because it's too much. Like I will mentally shut down. My brain starts like smoking and glitching.
Oh my gosh.
She's a lot.
She is a lot.
She's a lot, Stacey.
I don't know how your
really
brain doesn't
passionate.
like start smoking at times. Like I would
I
just
have to
become
take breaks.
overloaded.
That's what I'm saying. I have to take breaks.
I just love how like at times like when you decide to like make stuff, like you'll use like your kids like little plate because like she uses like all the bougie stuff and you're just like, here's my child's like
Yeah.
like cordoned off plate. And, like,
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
and,
When
or
she
you
uses this, the immersion blender, I used a spatula. Like, where do you think I'm getting this shit from? I
you're
don't
like, I'm
have,
just gonna pour flour and sugar into a pitcher and just like stir it and do whatever. I love it. It's so
yes,
it actually makes her relatable.
yeah, because you know what? Honestly, I have to do that kind of stuff because honestly, sometimes I look at her videos and I'm like, this is satire. Like, I cannot make it more satirical than it already is. This is already so like out of 100. There's nothing I could do. I could just say it word for word, which sometimes I basically do. I'm like saying it word for word, and people are like, this is an SNL skit. Like, it's like the debate. You know what I mean? How do we make fun? How do you make it more ridiculous than it already was? I can't.
Nope.
You know?
No, but yet somehow you do, and you make us all laugh.
But still, I carry on.
Well,
The Bravo hero that I am.
do you have any other questions about her? Because I feel
I
like
don't
I've
think
gone
so.
through
I think we had
everything.
hit a lot of them. Well, the Capricorn moon, we had talked about a little bit in Alexis and I almost said John's chart about the like mommy daddy issues, but we had kind of covered that a little as well. And I know it's hard for some of these without like the houses. I would love to know where, especially that Scorpio stellium. I would really love to know. My guess was the 7th house, and that's based on nothing other than like her relationship seems to be her really like big thing for her, even no matter how much success. And you explained a couple of other things that could have impacted that as well. You know, that's the thing is a lot of these like overlap or comorbidity on a lot of these aspects. But she does seem to really like struggle in that area with anything, not just romantic relationships, but like her castmates, you know, her partners on the show.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a good point because the 7th house is not just romantic relationships. It's also business partnerships. It's also the relationship we have to our audience and our clients too.
Interesting.
So, you know, that has definitely changed for her over the years. So, you know, that would be another like actually I feel good reason why I think that like maybe she's an Aquarius rising because that would put Leo in her 7th house of relationships. Again, you need to let go of this need to like of it all beyond of the relationship be all about you
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and allow like it to be about the other person and be about
Right,
the other people, and focus, you know, that your growth comes through community,
right.
the community of what Aquarius represents and everything. So that's why I feel like I lean a little bit more into her being an Aquarius rising, because also Aquarius risings, they do see things differently. They can see ahead.
Right.
They are a
Yeah,
little bit more
I mean,
forward
I can see
thinking.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so this isn't just not Bethany related question, but I was just thinking, and it's not even applicable because it's her North Node, but an astrology question. If your rising sign and if your South Node is in your first house,
mhm.
does that present as problematic?
No, no, not
Okay.
necessarily. It all depends. Nothing, I like to say this. Nothing is all good or all bad, but
Right.
some things are better than others. So I'm never going to tell somebody that like, oh, don't worry about that thing. Like you're totally going to be fine. I'm
Right.
just be like, you should be aware of this
Right.
for sure. Like I would say if somebody's, it also is going to depend on like what the sign is, but if somebody has their south node in their first house, it's like, well, you need to let go of you've spent past lives it all being about you. So this
Mhm.
lifetime, it needs to be less about you and it needs to be more about
Right.
others. It needs to be more about your partner. You need to be a better partner to people. You need to be a better business partner. You need to care more about your clients. You need to
Right.
because you've been more of the selfish person in relationships and you've been more of the selfish person in life. And in this
Right.
lifetime, it needs to like, it's going to be, but this is the thing, it's going to be hard because this is what you've been used to.
Right.
So this is what you have to work on, and you're going to be given challenges, and people are going to be placed in your lives in order for you to work this out.
Right.
So, I mean, the irony is that I'm almost saying the same thing, and but looking at Bethenny in a different way of like, but based on the sign. So that's also why it's
Mhm.
like, let's say if it was, um, let's say they had Libra rising with the South Node there,
Mhm.
and Aries, um, sorry, yeah, and Aries
Yeah,
North
Aries, yeah.
Node in the
Right.
7th house. I would say, well, like as a Libra rising with the South Node, it was all about you, but you did it to make yourself feel better. You were codependent. And so
Mm,
you had a lot of codependent relationships where you needed to get something out of the relationship by not being like completely true to yourself. This is a time for you to be with more independent people, and you need to be more independent. But at the same time, it's like finding independence through independent people.
wow.
So
Yeah.
this is how both the sign, the house, and the like planet or point all relate to the person. And this is how it all makes each one of us completely different individuals
Right.
based on our charts, based on what time we were born and everything like that.
Yeah. No, there is so much nuance. And that's why I get so annoyed. It's always men who are like, "Oh, you believe in astrology?" It's like what you said earlier, it's like the sun sign is not at all indicative of you as a person, not at all, but for that's such a tiny aspect of who you are. And it's like you
Mhm.
have to look at the complete picture. And even within, like I said, I know some of it, but it's also because my hyperfixation is astrology. I literally have the planet symbols. I don't know if you can see them tattooed on my arm. I'm obsessed with it. So everything that I'm doing, I'm studying them kind of like individually, but that's why when I got you to read my personal chart, when you like to take everything into consideration, because they do all have the aspects with each other and like, influence each other. And there's so much nuance and so many
Mhm.
layers to it beyond
Mhm.
one sign.
Yeah, I mean, even if like you want to talk to a guy about it, it's like, well, hey, you like football? Like, oh, it's like, oh, I shouldn't just like, the 49ers just because they're the 49ers, and I should like the Dallas Cowboys just because I like the Dallas Cowboys. Why maybe I should like the San Francisco 49ers 1989 team because they had these players and they ran these plays and they had this coach, and that made them very different from the Dallas Cowboys 1989 team where they had this coach and they had these players and they ran these plays. Like all these little differences, like
You
they
just
make a
unlocked it.
difference. Like how if you put this play in, but you change up this player, like let's say you don't have your you have to have your backup quarterback in there, and like, oh, your center got hurt. So you got, not only do you have a different center, but you got a different quarterback, but you're playing the play that you always play, that you played for 15 years. Well, that makes a difference in your team. That makes a difference here in these charts. And this is the thing. We all love to speculate on things. We all like forms of divination. This is a form of divination for women, but also for men. More men are getting into it because it also is scientific. The more I know about astrology, I literally can look up in the sky and I'm like, oh, and I can tell people that's Jupiter right there and that's Mars. And they're like, and then they get out their little apps and they go, oh, you're right. How did you know that? I go, because I know astrology and which means I know astronomy, which means I know where the planets are in the sky at the moment.
Right.
And they're like, oh, and I was like, yeah, it's a form of divination, but it is also a science.
And just pattern recognition.
It is. That's exactly what it is. And so you enjoy sports where there's a lot of pattern recognition, but there's also a supposition. Like you're talking about, we think that this team is going to do well and do these things because of certain players that they have and what they've got going on and stuff like that. And sometimes you're right and sometimes you're not. But sometimes overall you're right. So there you go. ESPN, astrology, almost the same thing.
They're literally exactly the same thing. I told people, because it took me a long time to try to word it properly, but I think of, if like computers, when you're writing code, it's like if you need something to turn out a certain way, you have to write the code a certain way. I think of it as the same way as, because I think of life beginning at birth, right? So it's like the soul is entering in through this kind of gross, but portal, with a metaphorical version of it, but it comes through this portal. And it's like, of course it would make sense for me. Like it makes so much sense for me to assume of like, if Bethenny needs to have mommy issues in order to learn this lesson, right? It's like, this is how she needs to be programmed. So it's almost like a chicken and the egg situation of like, what came first, right? Is like, she may not feel this way because she has this placement, but it would be really easy if I was prepping to come into this world to learn specific lessons. In the same way that if you're writing a story, a script for a show, okay, our main character needs to learn independence, or for my case, freedom is, I looked up my word. It's a whole thing, but you can go find your like word of your life basically. And mine was freedom. So in order to learn that, I needed to learn through these certain things. I needed to have this kind of childhood in order to accomplish that. Right. And it's almost like you said, learning the opposite of, if you have these issues in your first house, it'll affect your, like we talked about with the Saturn return. It's like you learn through contrast. So it's easier to just give this person these placements and then they learn these certain lessons. That doesn't seem far-fetched to me. That seems like the most economical way to do things. Right?
I mean, and all, like, you're hitting on a great point. Like, even as a baby astrologer, I did not really believe in past lives until I got further into astrology. Like, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Because then I was like, I looked at my family's charts. Like I got my mom and my dad and my brothers, like, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Look how our charts line up in different ways. Like in that, and we're here like almost like as soul groups and we're here to learn things together. And they say, I mean, like, that it's almost like our souls are part of a collective, and it's almost like it's like a drop in the ocean. Like we almost come out, it's like almost like plucked out as a drop to like come here and be here as part, and then we'll just go back to that part of the collective. But like we've decided, okay, I'm gonna learn this. I'm gonna experience this for this part of this lifetime, and the collective is gonna grow, and we all grow from each other's learning. That's like why the whole like rising tide lifts all boats. Like through everybody's experience in this lifetime, we all are growing and we all are lifting, we're all are rising. So that's why nobody's life or experience is wasted. It's all, no matter how short or how long it is, like there's always a reason. What that reason is, we don't know. And
Right.
because we decided before we came, and then if we knew, then it wouldn't be fun
Right.
or
That'd be so
torturous, to
boring.
be honest with you. Like,
Yeah, but you remember what you told me? I haven't stopped thinking about it when you gave me my reading and you told me about the guy that had a bunch of like positive aspects. Do you remember what you said?
yep, that he was the most boring person in the world. Yeah.
That's it. I have not stopped thinking about that. And you
Yeah.
know what? I would rather suffer than be boring.
Yep.
Put that on my headstone.
just so the listeners and viewers know, I was reading her chart. It was like, well, what about these red lines? Red lines are the squares and the oppositions, and they're tough times, and there are things, the obstacles that we have to deal with and work through, but they help us grow. And then the blue lines are the trines and the sextiles, and they're flowing aspects, and they make it a lot easier. And these are positive things. But the thing is that some people, like this guy, he had like all these flowing trines. I don't know if he even had one red aspect at all. Like, and
Crazy.
he was this person who just had an easy fucking life. But he also talked all the time. He was one of those guys, he was a mansplainer, and he talked nonstop. But he thought
he had no experience.
No experience. And he thought he was the most interesting person in the world. And he absolutely was not, because he'd never been through, and everything that he talked about was stuff that he had read or that he had seen somebody else do, but he had really never experienced anything. Whereas the more interesting people, I would say, are the people who have the mix, because somebody who has like too much red, then sometimes that can be like, oh, that's a lot that they're dealing with. But that's not across the board. That again is a generalization, but like, a nice mix of it. Like, you could be weighted a little bit more red, then that's not a bad thing. Like, but you need that red. It's just like lifting weights. You need to go eventually to heavier and heavier weights to get stronger and to build more muscle. You have to do it. Like, we need those to build more muscle, and this muscle of life, this muscle of experience. That's what we need these red aspects for. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So you need all of it.
You do. You need it all. Yeah. You need it all. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I feel like I know a little bit more about Bethenny, but I'm happy to say that I feel like a lot of the stuff is like, she's not that difficult to read. You know what I mean? You don't need to see her birth chart for a lot of the stuff, because she's pretty much what you see is what you get.
That's what I'm going to say. Like, I think, like, don't let past be prologue with her. She's giving it to you right there. Believe her when she says these things. Don't let her don't let her try to, her energy is there. Her energy says it all. In fact, I would say most of us, our energy says it all. Like, and she's great at talking you out of things. She can talk, but that energy, that manic energy that she has, that is her. And so believe people's energy, believe the way that they show up in the world. People can always talk you out of stuff and talk you into stuff. How do they show up? How do they present their energy? Whatever that feeling is, that gut feeling that you have of somebody, always trust it. And I think we feel that way. I mean, but also people, with that one caveat, people evolve. And I think Bethenny is actually a great example of how we've watched somebody evolve and grow through their chart. Again, I wish I had her houses, because then I could see a little bit more with transits to see how these changes have really hit her, because I do think that her marriage flipped a switch. And so that timing would be very interesting to see. So yeah, because I think that changed. I think A, housewives, and then B, that marriage flipped a switch for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that's it for today. So
well, I'm so glad that we got to her, because it was vital to me that we obviously got to Bethenny. You know, that was non-negotiable for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you have subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you've subscribed on wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you are following Pretty Corrupt Podcast on all the socials. It's so easy to find us. I'm not going to say it all. It's all in the description.
And y'all are amazing. Yeah.
Also, make sure you are following Dahlia at Bravo Bitch Fest on TikTok. on Instagram, on Twitter, on everywhere. And who do you guys want us to do next? I mean, we have a list, but like leave a message in the comments, say like, oh, we want you to do this person, this Bravo celebrity, this Bravo couple.
The couple, yes.
Wow. So we'll be doing couples, we'll be doing individuals, things like that. So, and if you have birth times for people, even better.
Yes. Seek them out. Find them.
Stalk them.
Stalk them.
Or
I should have told Bethenny I'll stop making videos about you if you give me your birth time.
The ironclad NDA she would make us sign.
Literally. Fuck me. I can't. Oh my God. People say it all the time. They're like, I cannot believe that she hasn't like served you with something yet. I don't know. She blocked me. So maybe she doesn't, shouldn't see it.
She's got a Finsta. She's watching you. She enjoys it. She likes it. She would make you, if she didn't enjoy it, she would have made you stop. But you are helping to drive people to her.
Literally, I know, and I say that too. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, she should give me a tip out. It's like bartending, like I'm getting you views, and I'm fully aware of that. And sometimes I think about it, like, is this worth it? It's just
she is your whatever farms, chicken salad farms people, like
Round Swamp Farms.
Yes, she is your Round Swamp Farms. Yeah.
I'm moving so much Bethenny product.
You have probably given her 10,000 views.
Easily. I've been doing these for over a year, by the way. I got my on TikTok memories. It popped up and it was like 1 year ago. I was like, this is actually embarrassing. When I look, sometimes, because I've got a playlist, and sometimes when I post it, it's like part 64. I'm like, trying to do it. This is actually embarrassing for me. I am horrified that I do it, but people keep asking for it. Every time I stop, they're like, what is Bethenny? I even posted a video. One time I posted a video pretty recently that was like, hey guys, I'm emotionally unwell, like mentally unstable. And someone literally commented and like, make more Bethenny videos.
Like, fuck you and your emotions. Make more Bethenny. Shut up and dance.
Talk about your depression. Literally dance, monkey. Like, God damn it. I can't have anything. And then people jumped under it and were like, are you fucking serious? Like, were you listening? I was like, it's fine. I'll do it. And I did. It cured my depression, I think. Shamelessly.
Oh my gosh. Well, no more dancing. Let's go home.
No more dancing. Yeah, it's time to go. I'm gonna need it now. Actually, I may go make a Bethenny video right now.
Let's do it. You better make a Bethenny video saying that she owes you money.
Literally, that's what I should do at Bethenny. I'll have to do it from my second account so she can see it.
I think you are, yeah. You'll have to make it, but you can't. You have to wait to post it until this video posts. So there we go.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm already like brainstorming ways to promote this with the Bethenny filter. 100%.
I love it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.